Hello everyone, we will continue the topic SAP ABAP new syntax, and now in this video we will start with reduce operator as a replacement of loop. Now we will cover in which particular scenarios we can simply replace loop with reduce operator. Now first, if someone is using the term reduction operator or someone is using the term reduce operator, one and the same thing. So reduce operator is also called as reduction operator. Now, what is reduce operator? Reduce operator creates a result of specified data type after going through iteration. Reduce operator provides us a result of dedicated data type. Suppose data type is, suppose I want to go for a result of integer. I want to go for a result of character data type. I want to go for a result of numeric data type. So reduce operator provides us a result of specified data type after going through the iteration. Suppose I'm saying it will go for 1,000 iteration, it will go for 100 iteration, it will go for 50 iteration. So after finishing those iterations, I will get a result of specified data type. For this purpose, we are using the reduce operator or reduction operator. Now we will go for simple understanding. Previously, how you are doing. Suppose I want to calculate total. I want to calculate subtotal. Suppose I want to go for count. So what we were doing previously, we are putting a loop onto number of records of internal table. We will put a loop on the internal table. That loop will continue for the number of records of the internal table, and we will go for total, subtotal, count, whatever the requirement is there. Now what SAP is saying, whenever you want to go for count, total, subtotal, do not put a loop on the internal table. Instead of that, simply use the reduce operator. Previously, we put a loop on internal table and calculate the count, total, subtotal. Now in new syntaxes, do not go for loop. Simply use the reduce operator to calculate the count, total, subtotal, etc. Suppose I will go for the example and you will understand. Suppose I want to calculate or I want to go for the count of sales order having document category A, having document category B, and having document category C. Suppose I have 1,000 sales order and I want to check out of those 1,000, how many belongs to document category A, how many belongs to document category B, how many belongs to document category C. So what we were doing previously, whenever we are getting the data into the internal table, we will put a loop on the internal table. We will check. If document category is A, we are simply passing or we are simply increasing the counter of this particular variable by 1. Suppose if document category B, we are taking into another variable and increasing the counter by 1. If document category C, we are simply taking into another variable and increasing the counter by 1. So you have to put a loop on the internal table because that internal table has all the data. Then you can simply check what is the count of those particular, what is the count of, what is the number of count for that particular condition. Suppose I want to go for total. Then in that case, you have to put a loop onto internal table and you are simply adding the sum to one variable. In all those cases, previously you need to put a loop. Now what SAP is saying, okay, do not go for loop, simply go for reduce operator. Now just see, this is what I use the reduce operator. Document category A, it is coming into this variable. Document category B, it is coming into this variable. Document category C, it is coming into this variable. There's no need to go for loop. You can simply use the reduce operator. Now we will go for the syntax of reduce operator. Whenever we want to go for, or whenever we want to apply reduce operator, what is the syntax for the same? So what is the syntax of the reduce operator? Reduce. Reduce is a keyword. After that, you need to specify the type. This type is your result data type. It can be your integer, it can be your character, it can be your numeric, any data type, in which data type you want the result. And in the bracket, we have 5 keywords. Init, for, then, until, and next. Now, to understand the meaning of these 5 keywords, I will go for the example and we will understand what are those 5 keywords. Suppose I will go for the example. Suppose I want to, or I want a result of first, I want to make sum of first 5 numbers. So what are your first 5 numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what will be the sum? 1 plus 2, 3. 3 plus 3, 6. 6 plus 4, 10. And 10 plus 5, 15. So I want to make sum of first 5 numbers, and you all know result will be 15. So how I can use, or how I can apply reduce operator? We'll understand and we will go for the meaning of each and everything. So what is the keyword? Reduce. What is I? I is a data type. You all know I stands for integer. And whatever the result will be there, it will go to this particular variable v1, and we used the inline data declaration. Now we have 5 keywords: init, for, then, until, and next. We have these 5 keywords. Now we will understand what is the meaning of these 5 keywords. Firstly, what is init? Init is your initial value. Now we have specified init and we took a variable, or you can say any variable, and we initialized with 0. Suppose the name of the variable is sum and it is equal to 0. So what is your init? Init is your initial value. What is the initial value of the sum? It is equal to 0. Now I will come on to 4. What is your 4? 4 is your initialize iteration. What is the initial value of your iteration? Many times when we ask, people are confused between these two. Init is your initial value of the result. Suppose in this whole, our result, finally we are passing it to sum. The sum will go to this particular v1. This init is your initial value, and this is your initial value of the iteration. Just understand. Suppose you have a loop. Internal table has 10 records. So how that loop is going on? First iteration, second iteration, third iteration, fourth iteration. So this is your iteration. Suppose it might be the case you want to directly start from third iteration. You want to start from fourth iteration, fifth iteration. So this 4 is your initial value of the iteration. So suppose I am passing the initial value of the iteration is equal to 1. Do not confuse between this and this. This is your keyword. This is your variable. Suppose if I do not want to confuse you, I'll just take it as int, so that there's no confusion. This is your int. This is your int. And suppose this is your int. So firstly, I gave the initial value to one variable sum is equal to 0. Then this 4 is the initial value of your iteration. Suppose I am saying initial value of the iteration is equal to 1. Now you all know, you can easily predict then is your increment. Okay, so now in this case we are always increasing by 1. Suppose simple example, whenever you are putting a loop on the internal table, it is always incremented by 1. Now until the value of this is greater than 5. Okay, I'll go for 5 because we are making sum of first 5 numbers. Until this particular variable is greater than 5, until your iteration value is greater than 5, because int is what? Int is your iteration. You declared as a part of iteration. Now, what is next? Next is your operation. And I have written sum is equal to sum plus int. Now we will go for understanding of all these by example so that you will understand what is the meaning of all of these things. Suppose simple. Firstly, sum is equal to 0. But we initialized sum is equal to 0. For int is equal to 1. It means what is the iteration? This is the first iteration. Now for the first iteration, until 1 is greater than 5. Yes, 1 is not greater than 5. So it will continue unless and until it is not greater than 5. 1 is not greater than 5. So it will come here. What is the operation? Sum is equal to sum plus int. What is your sum? Sum is equal to, what is the initial value of sum? 0. And what is the value of iteration? What is the value of your iteration? 1. Then what is the value of sum? Is equal to 1. So for the first iteration, the value of sum is equal to 1. Now we will go for next iteration. So it will increment 1 plus 1, 2. 2 is greater than 5? No, a 2 is not greater than 5. Whenever it will greater than 5, then it will not continue. Now it is not greater than 5. It will come here. Sum is equal to sum plus int. What is the value of sum? 1. And what is the iteration value? 2. So what is the result now? 3. Now we will go for third iteration. For the third iteration, yes, it will go for 2 plus 1, 3. Now 3 is not greater than 5. So it will go for next. Sum is equal to sum plus int. What is the value of sum? 3. And what is the iteration? 3. So 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. Now it will go for fourth iteration. Whenever it will go for fourth iteration, 3 plus 1, 4. 4 is greater than 5? No. So it will come here. Sum is equal to, yes, 6. What is the value of sum? And what is the value of iteration? 4. So what is the result? 10. Now we will go for sum. Sum is equal to, now 4 plus 1, 5. 5 is greater than 5? No. Now sum is equal to 10. Sum is equal to 10 plus iteration is equal to 5. Then what is the result? 15. Now next, 5 plus 1, 6. 6 is greater than 5? Yes, 6 is greater than 5. So it will not go for next operation. This is how reduce operator work. So what is the value of sum? Is equal to 15, and it will assign to this particular variable. So what is the result? Result will be 15. If I will simply comment this logic and show you the output. This is just simple example we took. Anyways, we'll go for real projects example in which scenarios we are using this. This is just to understand the reduce operator. You can see the result is 15. Now the important point, if you are not specifying then, suppose in this particular case, if you will not specify then by default, SAP always go for increment value 1. If you are specifying, not specifying, then in that case, if you are specifying, then it will go for that whatever you are specifying. If you are not specifying, in that case, it will automatically increment by 1. Suppose if in this particular example, I am not specifying this then. Suppose I am not specifying this then. Still, the result will remain the same because SAP will automatically increment by 1. You can see. If I will, okay, I'll just comment the above part. I'll just activate. I will run. And you can see result is still 50. So if you are not specifying, by default, it will increment by 1. So what is the summary of this particular video? Again, important, I'll say video as a part of SAP ABAP new syntax. Definitely questions will be there if someone is conducting the interview based upon new syntaxes. Reduce operator is also called as reduction operator. What is reduce operator? It will give us the result of specified data types after going through the iterations. Now, previously what we are doing, whenever you want to go for count, total, subtotal, you are always putting a loop on the internal table and you are doing all these things. Now what SAP is saying, whenever you have these kinds of requirements, do not go for loop. Now use the reduce operator. Now, what is the syntax of the reduce operator? Reduce is a keyword. Result data type. We have 5 keywords. Init, for, then, until, and next. Init is your initial value. Initial value. You can understand initial value of your, I'll just consider it as a result variable. It's anyways result variable is this. But whatever you are getting from here, you are assigning to this particular variable. So this init is your initial value. 4 is your initial value of the iteration. You want to initialize the iteration with which particular value. Then is your increment. Until is your iteration and condition. You need to specify, yes, at what time this particular iteration will finish. And next is your operation. And I took the example to make sum of first 5 numbers and I showed you through reduce. Anyways, I have not done the practical just to understand this how reduce is working. Now in the next video, what we will do, we'll start with the practical part and same to same practice. We will go for previously old syntaxes, then we will go for new syntaxes. I will took the requirement and I will show you how we were doing previously and how we can do now with the help of reduce operator. So that's it in this video. Thank you.